we start zigzagging to get our jinxing again.
The enemy cruiser is firing shells out in front of the retreating planes to alert Zeros overhead to their presence. The columns of water caused by the explosions are deadly obstacles.
And if you're not watching it, you fly into a column of water, and it's just like flying into concrete. About that time, one of those shells hit in the water right below us, and it exploded, and it lifted us right straight up in the air about 40 or 50 feet.
Even so, Dexter and Hoff managed to escape unscathed. The other pilots also make it clear without serious mishap. USS Enterprise is still 150 miles ahead of them.
Now the question was, do we have enough gas to get back to the ship?
The victors have hit hard, but they may not survive the return. And there's one more Japanese carrier still out there, preparing for an attack. June 4th, 1942, the Battle of Midway. Enterprise's first attack on the Japanese fleet is breathtaking. The outnumbered flyers of Enterprise have wreaked havoc on the Imperial aircraft carriers.
Kaga has been hit by the better part of 2 dive bomber squadrons from Enterprise, and she is utterly demolished. She is left burning from stem to stern almost instantaneously with a very heavy loss of life. Akagi takes longer to brew up, but is eventually consumed by the same sort of catastrophic fires that are also consuming her sister, Kaga.
And while Enterprise's bombers are tearing up these two, a third carrier, Soryu, some 5 miles northeast, has also fallen victim to the strike. Dive bombers from USS Yorktown have ravaged her.
They end up singling out the carrier Soryu and hitting her 3 times with 1,000-pound bombs and turn her into a floating wreck as well.
20 miles away, Dusty Cleese feels it's now safe to take a look back at the results of his squadron's attack.
He could look back and he could see the 3 big balls of fire, and there was the 3 Japanese ships that were on fire. And as he was looking back, all of a sudden, one of those ships actually exploded. It must have hit the munitions that was aboard the ship. The huge mushroom cloud came up and over the top.
The surviving dive bomber crews are ecstatic with their success. But they're still in harm's way. They must make it free of the kill zone. The air is filled with angry Zeros that have just lost their home carrier. They're desperate and they're dangerous. Bomber pilot Hopkins checks to see whether his backseat partner is still okay. Ed Anderson gives the thumbs up. The SBD rear seat gunners have their work cut out for them, and this leads to some remarkable personal actions.
Rear seat gunner was firing his machine gun and it broke loose from its mouth, so we actually had to manhandle it like it was a shotgun. He was a little guy, so most of the time he couldn't even carry it by himself to get it to his airplane. But I know from personal experience you can do some amazing things when you're scared.
But no extraordinary physical effort can save rear seat gunner Bruno Guido and his pilot Frank O'Flaherty. This aircrew will pay a high price for the morning's accomplishments. As the buzzing Japanese Zeros counterattack ferociously, bullets from the guns of the Zeros perforate the fuel tanks on O'Flaherty and Guido's plane. Fuel leakage eventually causes the duo to ditch in the ocean. They survive the crash, but they're discovered by the Japanese and fished from the water by an enemy warship. The Japanese crew isn't happy about the loss of 3 of the Imperial Navy's aircraft carriers. Now there's only one Japanese carrier left, the Hiryu. Hiryu remains untouched by the morning's attack from Yorktown torpedo bombers, and now she wants revenge. Now, a Japanese scout plane has just informed Hiryu of the whereabouts of USS Enterprise and her sister warships. Just before 11 a.m., Hiryu launches its bombers, a retaliatory strike. 2 squadrons of Val dive bombers, each carrying 550 pounds of explosives, head for their targets. Navigation is simple for them. They simply trail some of the returning American bombers back to their U.S. carrier group. It's quiet at midday near Enterprise and her task force. Then a faint humming sound develops in the far distance. It grows louder, gradually becoming an ominous roar. 3 miles and 180 degrees to the rear. The attack planes close in. The first line of defense are the destroyer anti-aircraft guns. If the enemy bombers make it through that, they become targets for the Enterprise Wildcats, circling the sky to shoot down bombers before they can drop their payloads. Aboard USS Enterprise, ship's bugler James Barnhill watches Enterprise fighter aircraft rush to intercept the enemy attackers.
What I could see was Japanese planes coming in after us, and our guns and planes going out like a shield and keeping them away from the Enterprise.
The first American carrier that lands in the Hiryu bomber's sights is USS Yorktown. Some of the enemy planes make it through the ship's defenses. And 3 bombs make direct hits on Yorktown's flight deck. One bomb kills 17 gunners and tears a 10-foot square hole in the center of the flight deck. Another bomb drilled its way through to the base of the smokestack before exploding and extinguishing the boilers. Multiple fires erupt. American carrier flight decks in World War II have a top layer of wooden planks. It is a way to lighten the weight of the overall ship. But the wooden surface compounds the danger when fires erupt. But the Yorktown damage control crew leaps into action, unreeling hoses and dousing burning surfaces with extinguishing foam.
And they patched the hole in the deck. They got the boilers working again.
A couple of hours later, the fire is completely extinguished. The hole in the deck is patched, and Yorktown is back underway at 19 knots. But her new lease on life is cut short. At mid-afternoon, a second wave of bombers arrives from the Hiryu. These carry torpedoes. Again, they reach Yorktown first. But since the vessel is no longer burning and has been patched so quickly, they believe it is a different carrier. 5 bombers make it through intense anti-aircraft fire and drop their torpedoes. 2 of the torpedoes score direct hits on Yorktown's port side. Again, the fires are extinguished, but this time, the damage is too severe to be repaired quickly. The listing deck is a serious problem for Yorktown's flyers. One aircrew that must bypass Yorktown is wounded rear seat gunner Lloyd Childers and his pilot Harry Coral.
We came back to the Yorktown, and looking at it, noticed immediately there was about a 30-degree list. And she was dead in the water.
The angle means the Yorktown's aircraft have no place to land. Childers and Coral buzz the deck desperately, seeking a safe landing. Childers' brother Wayne is on deck. He fears his brother's foreboding from this morning has come true as the plane buzzes past. Wayne waves to show that he's okay, running the whole length of the ship, trying to get his brother to wave back. There is no response. Badly wounded in both legs, a bullet lodged just above his right ankle. The young gunner has lost an alarming amount of blood and is struggling to remain conscious. His brother can't tell if he's alive or dead.